YouTube, welcome to another video, another episode. Before I get into it, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Trying to get 1,000 subscribers. Leave any comments you would like, good or bad. Helps with the algorithm so I can continue to grow my channel. Alright, this video ain't gonna be too long. I just wanna show you guys this 5.7 by 28 cartridge and why I like it so much. As you all know, I got my FN57 right here. This is my favorite pistol, my dream gun. Of all the 5.7 options, this is hands down my favorite. But the video isn't particularly about the pistol, it's about the cartridge. So originally, before I found out about 5.7, I always wanted me a 22 pistol, right? I like the idea of having a 20. At the time, I liked the idea of having a cool little 22 pistol, not a rifle, but a 22 pistol. Well, I guess a rifle too, but particularly I'm talking about having a pistol. I like having a 22 pistol. I like the idea of that for everyday carry because with 22, it's very light recoiling. You can get shots on target fast. You don't got to worry about missing too much. Like, you can just pepper somebody, literally pepper them to death, just mag dump this thing and all your shots most likely be on target. Versus using a 9mm. Typically when you use 9mm, most people with self-defense, they use well, a lot of people use plus P. I generally use plus P 9 ammunition and most of my 9mm setups. But generally speaking, with those heavier hitting ones, 9mm plus P, your 40s, your 45, you're not going to be able to get that pepper-like effect unless you have to do a bunch of modifications to the gun, recoil springs and compensators and all of that stuff. With the 22 caliber family, specifically 22 LR and 22 Magnums and 22 short, just right out the box, you get a light recoiling, very flat shooting firearm. And if you got to pull it out for self-defense, you'll be, like I said, you'll be able to get shots on target very, very fast. And I like the idea of that. But I was a little bit hesitant because like, dang, well, yeah, I get the light recoil and I know I could be on target and all of that, but the 22 LR and short and Magnum, those are rimfire. Even if you get the good brands like CCI, it's still a chance that it might jam. Not because of 22 is a bad cartridge. It's just any rimfire cartridge coming out of a semi-automatic firearm, especially, but even not even in a semi-automatic, it could be a bolt action or revolver. Those rimfire cartridges, they just have an inherent problem with the round not going off from like a light. It's like almost like a light primer strike type of thing. The way it's set up is on a centerfire like this one, the primer is right there, is exposed. So when a hammer hit it, boom, it's gonna go off, guaranteed, unless you have a hammer issue, light primer strike or something like that. But with a 22, rimfire 22, it's like the primer is different. The primer is like internal, so sometimes it's not seated far enough back towards the wall, and it might not go off even if you get a good primer strike, or the powder is not in the right spot. It's just how they manufacture it like that. It's always been like that. So I didn't want to risk having to use it and it jams within the first 3-4 shots. On top of that, 22 rimfire cartridges out of a handgun, even out of a rifle, stopping power is very negligent. It's still a bullet and it still will do damage, and we're not Iron Man or Superman, nothing like that. But it heavily relies on shot placement. Self-defense encounters, shot placement is very good and a very good thing, but it's not always guaranteed. What's most important is getting that gun out fast and getting shots on target the target, as in the human target that you're shooting at. Preferably, you will try your best to aim at the head, neck, or the chest, but that's not always the case. It's more of a high adrenaline point and shoot. You know, you're not really trying to line up your sights and get perfect, accurate shots and stuff like that. So I didn't want to risk getting a jam and a malfunction. Um, so when I found out about that this 5.7 by 28 is a part of the 22 family. What I mean by 22 family is you got 22 LR, 22 short, 22 Magnum, 5.56, 223, etc., etc. And this, of course, they're all 22 diameter. Like all of the bullets, if you pay attention, is like the same. It looks like this. Like it's a small little pointy round, or it might not be pointy, but it's the circumference or however you do the measurements. They all fit in the 22 family. So, and another thing is another reason why I didn't want to do the 22 LR is because the stopping power, like I said, even if I was to get good reliability of it, 22 only goes up to the 22 LR for example. Even out of a long barrel like this, you're only getting like 98, 100 foot-pounds of energy. That is not enough for adequate penetration, adequate expansion, stuff like that. It's not moving fast enough. And on top of that, it's a light round moving about the same speed as 9 millimeter, about 1,000 feet per second. You might get 11, but it's such a light round. It's just negligent for the stopping power. 22 Magnum will be the strongest option of those rimfire 22s. Um, but even that, you're only getting up to like 130, 150 foot-pounds of energy. It's still not enough. The bare minimum I want is at least 300, 330, and that's just your standard 9 millimeter ammunition. So I like this because I get the best of both worlds. I can shoot very fast, accurate shots, get that pepper them down like effect with it, but I get the reliability of a centerfire. So again, I wanted the 22, and I got the 22 caliber family bullet. It's moving much faster. All 22 caliber bullets are still going to roughly be within the same grain weights, from 35 grain varmint rounds. You got a 40 grain. This is 40 grain. You got 55 grain for 5.56. You know, they only get up to at the highest like a 77 grain, but 5.7. Nah, the highest you might get is probably like a 50 grain, 55, something like that. I'm not too sure the highest, but it isn't nothing like a 9 millimeter, like 115. It ain't gonna get up nowhere near that heavy. But this relies on speed, so you don't want too heavy of a round anyway. So, like I said, I get fast moving round. I get the pepper like effect. I could feel confident that my shots are going to be accurate on target. Most 5.7 pistols, 5.7 by 28 pistols, have at the minimum 20 round capacity. So that's 20 accurate shots. And unlike 22 Magnum and 22 short and 22 LR, I get the same stopping power roughly as about a 9 millimeter. So this will give you about 300 foot-pounds of energy. That's more than enough to be at the bare minimum adequate. The same how some people would say the lowest they would go is 9 millimeter. They wouldn't do a 380, stuff like that. This falls in that category. The 9 millimeter and the 5.7 roughly has about the same foot-pounds of energy, not including plus P 9 millimeter. Obviously, I'm talking about standard pressure 9 millimeter. Standard pressure 9 millimeter gets you about 300, 330 foot-pounds of energy. Possibly might be even, yeah, I'd say about 300. The same with this, but this is a flat shooting round. So unlike using a 9 millimeter, where I have the possibility of missing or my follow-up shots ain't as fast, I literally can just mag dump this. Just that's why I say pepper them down, just like pop, 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 just endless shots. The whole magazine, every last one of them is on target. Yeah, it's not as strong as something like a 40, something like that, and you might not necessarily get that one stop effect, or one shot might not, hurt as bad when it hit the human target or something like that. But you get 20 rounds of this, 20 rounds. That's going to do the job. Excellent for self defense. That's why I like this round. Particularly, I got the blue tip right here. I like this round because it's a 40 grain projectile. It's moving fast, very fast, high pressure cartridge, that 5.7 by 28. Um, but it has this hornady polymer tip. So just like with the 5.56, the polymer tips they expand. As soon as they hit something, whether a drywall, a bone, human size, human target, anything it hits, going to dump its energy uh, uh, fast, and that's good for self defense. Um, all of the armor piercing and all of that. I'm not going to get into that rabbit hole this video. I'll save that for another video. There's a lot of myths about this whole 5.7 and shooting through vest and all of that. I don't want to get into that, but carrying this for everyday carry, a 5 by 7, a 5.7 by 28, um, has great advantages. Like I said, you can get fast, accurate shots on a target. Yeah, it's a little big, but hey, I don't mind that. That's a small caveat to the fact that I can have a very accurate firearm. You do have different loadings, different bullets, different manufacturers. The price has gone down. It's not as expensive as it used to be, 70, 80, $90 a box and all of that. Nah, you can get this for $35 online easily. I've seen this exact bullet, this exact cartridge from FN right here for $35 online. Now, if you get it in store, of course they're gonna tax you because they got to make their money. So it might be $50, $60, but yeah, I really like this cartridge, guys. It's very a good full size option. Um, like I said, I don't carry this based on power. I carry this based on knowing that I can get shots on target fast and stop the threat fast with this one, as if I had a 22 LR. The only other option that you would have is 22 TCM, I believe. These are the only two 22 caliber far as with pistols, center fire. 22 TCM is like a 22 diameter bullet in a 9 millimeter casing. But again, that one doesn't have the same stopping power as this one. This one gets you about 330, 300. I think 22 TCM is a little bit less than that. So I'd rather go with this one. And they're both pretty expensive. 22 TCM is a little bit probably more harder to find. This one is more readily available. They're both going to be expensive because they're oddball cartridges, but this one is gaining more popularity. And you have various different options as far as with the pistol you want to use. You got the Palmetto Rock, you have the Ruger 5.7, Smith & Wesson 5.7, M&P 5.7. Well, same thing. Sorry, I just said that twice. But yeah, so that's the reason why I like this cartridge, guys. And this is one of my favorite cartridges that I like to use, the blue tips. Not only does it look cool with that nice blue tip, but again, it's good for self-defense because it's moving so fast. That polymer tip will help it expand and do what it's supposed to do for a defensive round. That's what you want. You want fragmentation. You want expansion and tumbling. This cartridge acts like a 5.56. It has the same defensive-like effects. It gets its energy and it gets its power and energy and everything it does from its speed, because obviously it's a light round. So if it wasn't for it moving fast, it'd just be like a daggone 22 LR. But because it's moving double the speed of a 22 LR, almost 2.5 times, like 2,500 feet per second and stuff like that, 2,000 feet per second, that fast projectile and this light of a grain, as soon as it hits something, it's going to shatter, it's going to tumble, it's going to fragment, it's going to open up that polymer tip. So that's what you want, for especially for home defense. Now, for everyday carry, if you want to use to each his own. This is my opinion. If you want to get you a different type of round other than this 40 grain V Max, You even go even lighter. The lighter you get, the faster that round gonna move, and the more it's gonna expand and tumble. But for everyday carry, if you want more penetration, like most of the time, you're not gonna have both. You're not gonna have good expansion and tumbling and all of that, and good penetration. Is uh Now you can have it, but what I'm saying is sometimes it can be either or. So depending on the situation, home defense, I'd rather have more expansion and tumbling and stuff like that. The penetration, I want to have a little bit of penetration. So I think this is the perfect round because it's light. It's 40 grain, but too light, like the 28 grain or the 30 grain or something like that. Yeah, expand good, but it's not heavy enough to penetrate. You know, so as soon as it hit the body, it gets through that bone, that layer of bone in the chest or the skull or something like that. It's going to lose a lot of that velocity. It's not going to penetrate deep enough after that to even probably hit the lungs or the heart or something like that. So this is the best of both worlds. It's light enough, Benzo is 40, and it's still moving fast. It'll tumble, it'll fragment and do its thing. But it's heavy enough to still give you a little bit more penetration than if it was a lighter grain. But it's not too heavy that it just, even though it did expand or tumble and all that stuff, it still blow right through something. 2, 3 layers of drywall. So that'll pretty much wrap up this video, guys. If you like 5x7x28, tell me in the comments. Tell me what's your favorite 5.7x28 pistol. Tell me any thoughts you have on this cartridge. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.